Centipede. You wiggled your way into our hearts and arcades way back in 1980, and are just as fun today as ever. Centipede is a fixed-screen shooter and is a really creative take on the vertically oriented shootin' crap that's coming at you genre that was so popular back then. Unlike games such as Space Invaders or Galaxian where the enemies descended down at you either as one large formation, or breaking off individually or in small groups, a Centipede took a bunch of bad guys and put them all together to form this single, twisty, multi-segmented arthropod winding its way down at you through a maze of mushrooms. And unlike those other games, instead of disappearing off the bottom of the screen, or just killing you and ending the game, if it reaches the bottom, the Centipede will just keep moving back and forth around the lower portion of the screen, making for some really claustrophobic but tense and exciting action. I can't say exactly what to call your character in the game, but going by the Atari 2600 and 7800 manuals, you're some kind of elf with a magic wand, trying to eliminate the giant centipede and other nasty critters from the enchanted forest, and that's all the story I need. I don't really need much of a reason to defend myself against giant creepy crawlies. Besides the centipede, you'll also have to contend with spiders, fleas, and scorpions. And the playfield is littered with mushrooms which constrain and influence the movement of the centipede. And as the game progresses, the playfield is affected by your gameplay. You can destroy mushrooms by shooting them. Blasting away a segment of the centipede leaves a new mushroom in its place. If you've eliminated a large number of mushrooms near your player, a flea will drop down, leaving a trail of new ones. And when a scorpion moves across the screen, any mushroom it touches turns poisonous. And if the centipede touches one of them, it freaks out and just barrels down to the bottom of the screen. So the formation and distribution of the mushrooms is always changing, making the game just a little different each time you play. The game just feels alive, and being able to help destroy and create the environment, being able to interact with the playfield in that way so that you can influence how your primary enemy moves is just darn cool. Centipede was a huge hit and got ported to many home systems of the time. I haven't played all of them, but I've played some, and it really fares well on every system I've tried it on. The Atari 5200 version in particular is exceptionally smooth and supports the great trackball controller, so it feels more like the arcade. But even the 2600 version, while graphically simplistic, still retains the fun and crazy action of the original. And the TI-99 4A version is no exception. While you can't use a trackball like the arcade, it plays great with joystick controls. It really has a nice look to it, and while the Centipede doesn't seem to move as smoothly as other versions, everything else is fast and fluid. The spider moves in interesting ways, sometimes slowly zigzagging across the screen, other times taking a very slight angle and swooping across the width of the playfield in one smooth motion. I'm not as into the sound effects. I mean, it's a noisy game, which is good, there's a lot of sound happening, but it lacks the staccato quality of the original. I'm not sure that's the best adjective to use, but I'm sticking with it. Also, when the scorpion passes by, it sounds like the carnival is in town or something. But it's really not a big deal. Sound just isn't this game's strongest suit. But audio aside, this TI conversion of Centipede is nice looking, plays great, and has all the frantic action of the arcade. It's always interesting to see how classic arcade games made the jump to classic home systems, and if you have a TI-99 4A, it might be worth a look if you want to check out one of the many fun ports of this inventive and timeless title.